Early voting officially kicked off in Georgia today in one of the most watched congressional special elections. 19 candidates are vying to fill Republican Marjorie Taylor Greene's seat in Georgia's 14th House District. Last year, the former Trump ally announced she would be resigning after serving 4 years in Congress. It followed Greene's public falling out with the president over his stance on the Epstein files. She also accused the GOP of failing to address rising health insurance premiums. President Trump has endorsed former District Attorney Clay Fuller. Greene says she will not endorse anyone. The special election is March 10th. Let's bring in Fin Gómez. He's CBS News' Executive Director of White House and Politics. So first, let's talk several 2028 presidential hopefuls on both sides of the aisle. They made appearances at the Munich Security Conference over the weekend. Who was there? What did they talk about?
Yeah, Lindsay, they sure did make appearances. You know, the first votes of 2028 are still years away, as you know. But in Munich this weekend, it already felt like an early audition. Of course, as you know, Lindsay, the Munich Security Conference, that annual gathering of global leaders and defense officials, turned into a kind of a proving ground for these potential presidential contenders from both sides of the aisle looking to burnish their foreign policy credentials. Secretary of State Marco Rubio, of course, was there representing the Trump administration. European officials described his remarks as measured and well-received in tone, even as he pushed President Trump's foreign policy posture, which many in the audience, of course, disagree with. One official told me just a little while ago the speech was, quote, friendly in tone, and yes, it reinforced the president's position, but it was a contrast for the vice president's speech last year at the conference. Rubio even got a standing ovation. On the Democratic side, you saw a deep bench ascend in Munich. Governor Gavin Newsom, Governor Gretchen Whitmer were there, as were Senators Mark Kelly and Ruben Gallego of Arizona, and Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, also known as AOC, also attended, among others. Newsom made headlines telling a European audience that Donald Trump is, quote, temporary. He'll be gone in 3 years. And he even got what amounts to an endorsement from fellow Californian Nancy Pelosi, the former Speaker of the House, of course, who was also there and said she thought that he'd make a great president. AOC did draw global attention, offering a progressive counterpoint, if you will, to Rubio, though she did face criticism for stumbling on a question about Taiwan and for incorrectly referring to Venezuela as below the equator. Lindsay? All
right, real quick, what are you watching for in Georgia?
This is getting to be a really spicy one. It's shaping up to be one of the most watched of the cycle. And on the, and it's on the Democratic side, you have State Representative James Tellerico, who's launching a 12-city tour across Texas, leaning into retail politicking and grassroots in this big grassroots push. And he's far outraised his opponent, Jasmine Crockett, who's running she's representing herself as a battle-tested fighter, if you will, that the Democrats need for this statewide contest. She says she's focused on affordability, but some Democrats have told me they feel that she's more focused on elevating her profile than on really offering her party the best chance in a general election. However, there was a recent University of Houston, Texas poll that showed her up by 8 points with about 12 percentage of undecided voters, which is a big number, Lindsay, for a primary. But it all starts tomorrow, Tuesday. They're off and running.
Fin Gómez, thank you.
Thank you.